Hey, it's nice of you to be here with me today, my friend. I'm real happy that we're together again, and well, I know you're excited to start painting, so let's get on with it. I got my paper turned horizontal, not horizontal, what am I saying? I got it turned vertical today, and I've got a very strong drawing. Remember, when you do your watercolor paintings, always start with a very strong drawing. That always makes it so much easier. And while I'm getting started, all the names of the colors are going to be flashing across the screen for you, so you know exactly what I'm using. Now, I'm going to start with two brushes here. I'm going to start with my round brush, which is made with natural hairs, so it holds a lot of water, a lot of paint. And then I'm going to use my flat brush that's synthetic. It uses synthetic hairs, so it doesn't carry a lot of water, but it snaps into place quite nicely. There's a thing about synthetic brushes and, well, natural brushes. Natural brushes tend to hold their shape when they bend this way and that, whereas synthetic brushes tend to snap right back into place. Okay, let's go ahead and we'll just wet the paper here. I'm going to go ahead and get on with it. And what we're going to do, we're going to start with the lightest color. You always want to start with the lightest color when you do paintings like this, all right? Okay, here's what I want to do. I'm going to be bold and daring. I'm going to go ahead with my round brush, my big old round here. I'm going to go into my Nicolazo yellow and phthalo green. Mix that together. I want a nice bright yellow green here. I want a bright yellow green. I want lots and lots of yellow in there, and just the lightest amount of green, just the lightest. So little green. Okay, let me see. Is that about enough? Yeah, that's probably about enough. We don't have to beat this to death here. We can go ahead and just get on with it. All right. Now we'll just. Yep, that's how we're doing it. Now, be sure you watch out for that little bead of water up there, because that can spill right down your paper. So I'm going to go ahead and just get that, because we don't want that one. We don't want that fellow to cause any mischief there. I'm just lifting my paint with plain old toilet paper today. This is the kind of toilet paper you get over at like Home Depot and stuff. You know, it's the stuff that your boss gets for you because he doesn't like it that much. You just go in there and drop a few bucks, pull out a 10 maybe. And that's when it's not on sale. And you buy it in bulk. You know how it is. The kind of paper that your boss gets because he really doesn't like you that much. I know how that is. Well, sometimes we all got to deal with that, right? Yeah, I know. Sometimes you got that mean old boss that cracks that whip and wants you to get back to work, and he yells at you a whole bunch, and, well, you just got to go ahead and make do. Because you gotta bring home that bread. Yep, I know how it is. Now let's go ahead and tear off a piece of this toilet paper and we'll go ahead and lift this paint. Now the trick of all this is that we want to keep it light, right? Now because we're using a phthalo color in the mix, it's not going to lift too much. When I talk about lifting paint, I'm just talking about going in with a piece of paper, or you can go on with a brush too. You can lift with a brush, but make sure it's a dry brush because it lifts a lot better then. And you can just literally lift the paint right up off the paper like that. And it makes it a little easier to keep that value light. So a lot of times, sometimes we'll apply colors too dark. Other times we'll apply values too light. But the trick of it here is that we apply the colors very light in watercolor. And then we go in and apply them darker as we go. Remember, with watercolor, it's the opposite of oil painting and acrylic painting. Well, in acrylic painting you can do things very transparent too. So we'll just say like oil painting here. Oil painting, you want to go from dark to light, whereas in watercolor you absolutely want to go from light to dark. You cannot do it any other way. And you know what? I think that in gouache you're probably supposed to go light to dark too, but you can do whatever you want in gouache too, because it's kind of opaque. I've used gouache recently. I just can't stop thinking about that. I think we might do a season of gouache painting very soon. I think that would be a lot of fun. Okay, now let's just go ahead and hammer in these little areas right here where there's going to be this green. The trick of it is we want to get this green down everywhere that pretty much everywhere that there's going to be green. And maybe I'll go back in here and get a couple of things in here. And we'll just do this. Yeah, it's looking good. Looking real slick there. Here's how we do it. We'll just lift that a little bit and get it to about the same value as the rest of it. And that's good. That's real nice. And we'll go ahead and do these. Look at all these little spots here. Yeah, there it goes. Okay. And where else do we want to go? Ooh, I don't know. We'll just go ahead and we'll cover these big masses here just like this. Yeah. That's how we'll do it. Now, when you're painting like this, I really don't recommend that you paint with your paper completely upright like this, because you know what I like to call this? We call this a madman's way of painting. Absolute madman stuff right here. You wanna keep your paper a little bit more horizontal than this. I recommend you keep your paper at about somewhere less maybe than 45 degrees. Maybe 45 degrees if you want to live dangerously, but if you want to paint like me, I mean, turn the paper completely upright like this. Then you really feel crazy. Okay, what we can do if we want the color to dry pretty quickly is we'll just apply the color like that. Okay, and we'll go in right about, we'll go in right there. Yeah, that's where we'll go. And you want to be careful. Try to control your water when you're painting with watercolors like this, because what happens if you get too much water in one area, what likes to happen, what the paint likes to do, because remember, your tools are conspiring against you the whole time. I don't know if you knew that, but they got plots. Imagine it's like that movie Toy Story, where all the toys are kind of just walking around hatching schemes and stuff, and plotting against their masters or the evil kids and stuff. And well, the tools are a lot like that. They're just like that, except they plot against artists. They think that they're gonna get the drop on you, and you gotta show these tools who's boss. I like to tell you that, and I just want to drive it home. You really gotta show them who's boss, because boy, they got funny ideas about what a painting should look like. But you got your own ideas, and you gotta bend them to your will. So go ahead, master the tools. Let them know you're in charge. And don't let them forget it either. Because the moment you do, you're going to see some funny things happening. Alright. Everything's pretty much going according to plan right now. And I got to say, it feels pretty good. It feels pretty good. We aren't doing anything too complicated yet, so thank goodness for that. Really what we're doing here is we're blocking in various shapes. We're blocking in a whole bunch of shapes all over here. Alright, and one of the things I do here, I know you've noticed, I told you about it already, but sometimes when I want things to dry a little faster, I just go in and I don't even wet the paper, I just go in and block it in with my big old brush here. And that really moves things along because the paper is very absorbent. And it really depends on what paper you use, how absorbent your paper is going to be. Because maybe it won't be all that absorbent. It really depends. Try out some papers and see what works for you. This paper, I bought it real cheap a while back because I had to get something that was just available, because for a little while there during the lockdown, and if you're watching this at a later date, this was painted during a pandemic, a global pandemic. I had to go ahead and look around for papers that were available, and there really wasn't all that much. So I took what I could get, and it just happened to be this paper, this very absorbent paper. Alright, now let's go ahead and pay special attention to what we want to do here. I want to go and get, I think we're going to bust out our triad mix now. We're going to go ahead and get our triad mix, and we're going to mix up a little bit of a violet color. Actually, you know what I want to do? I'm going to go into my phthalo blue right here and my quinacridone magenta first. Let me see if I can show that to you. Now, if you look at my palette, I've got all kinds of colors kind of just joining each other in various wells here, because I got phthalo blue and quinacridone magenta right here. And I do that for a lot of different colors. I actually do that for every combination on my palette, except for the triads, of course. And if you don't know what a triad is, we'll be using that in a second. But the triad just means a combination of 3 colors. And you're like, wow, that's simple. Yeah, that's all a triad is. Believe me, art is not that hard when you get down to brass tacks. It's actually pretty easy stuff. Artists everywhere try to make it seem like it's a lot more complicated than it really is, and sometimes it does get pretty complicated, depending on what we're going for and all that. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a little bit of water off that edge, because I just know the moment I go ahead and paint that in. Yep, there it is. Okay, we got to be careful here. We got to be careful, okay? Lots of water dropping down, lots of water. All right. Now this is just my phthalo blue, my quinacridone magenta. That's all I'm using here. And I'm going to lift this so it's going to leave a very light pink color behind, all right? All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Here it goes, here it goes. Okay. There. That's exactly what I wanted. And now. We're going to go ahead into the bottom color. In fact, we can go ahead and maybe get a couple more of these little whites that are poking in through here. Just to paint a few of them. You know how it is to paint a few of them like this. Okay. And we'll go maybe, I know. I want to pay. You don't want to obsess with details too much, because a lot of times when you obsess with details, it takes so long. But you want to obsess with a couple of them. You want to add a couple of things here and there just to spruce up your painting, you know. Yeah, I know. I know you know. You know how it is. Or maybe you don't. You've never painted before. Maybe this is your first time. I don't know what your situation is, unfortunately. But, if this is your first time, I hope that you'll just kick back, grab yourself a cool drink, relax for a little bit, and just take it all in. And maybe later, maybe when you feel up to it, you'll get your paints out, and you'll give this a try. Because painting really is one of the most wonderful things in the world. And if you've never tried it before, you really should try it at least once. And maybe you won't like it all that much. Maybe you just like watching it. And if that's the case, then, well, at least you can say you tried it. At least you can say you tried it. And you won't ever think to yourself, boy, I wish I would have done that. Because you know you did, and you just didn't like it. Painting's not for everyone. You know, there's a lot of things that aren't for everyone. That's what makes the world so interesting. Painting is for some people, not for others. Whereas some people maybe enjoy music more. Maybe some people are just more into, video games, or maybe they're into, playing trivia and stuff like that, and board games and all that. And, people are in all kinds of things. You don't have to all share the same interest, because that would make for a very boring world, wouldn't it? Yeah, it'd be pretty boring then. So it's probably better this way. That not everyone is going to enjoy painting. Although I certainly do enjoy it when people give it a try for the first time in their lives. I get so many people who tell me, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to take a crack at this for the first time in my life. I've never painted before, but watching you inspired me." Well, they don't say it in those exact words, but they say something to that effect. And it always feels good when they do. I never get tired of that. And if people say that, I say, well, you know what? Mission accomplished. All right. Well, while that takes a moment to dry, we don't want to paint that immediately. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go right into our triad here. And I'm going to get myself just a little bit of my... Here, let me see if I can show the palette to you again. I'm going to get a little of the ultramarine, the quinacridone magenta. And I'm going to go right in here, okay? There it goes. All right. So here's what we'll do. We'll mix up two different triad mixes, and I got two different ones. We'll go into this other one here, and we'll get some nickel azo yellow and quinacridone magenta. This triad mix is nickel azo yellow, quinacridone magenta, and ultramarine. And the reason we use the ultramarine instead of the phthalo blue is because it adds a little bit more texture to the paint. Now, there's a difference between watercolor paints. Watercolor paints really show off the texture of the pigment that the paint contains. And what that means is, well, some pigments look kind of flat and smooth, whereas a color like ultramarine looks very granular. Because the pigment, well, either clumps together or it's very heavy and big, stuff like that. Every paint contains a pigment. A pigment is what colors the paint. But with watercolor, the binder gets dissolved a little bit, and we get to see more of what the pigment can really do when it's almost naked. It's not completely naked, because it does have a lot of stuff in the paint that helps the pigment adhere to the paper. If that stuff wasn't there, the pigment will kind of just fall off because you can't just have pure dry pigment. It doesn't really work that way. It has to help. It needs a little bit of help to adhere to the paper, either through say like a fixative or any other thing that watercolor paint contains. Now, I don't remember exactly what it contains because I don't really think about that sort of thing very often, but I just want to tell you right now what watercolor really is about. Okay, so now we got that color. Okay, that's looking pretty good. That's looking pretty good. And you know what we can do? We can go ahead and take that color again and find the tree branches right in here. We'll go like this. Just wet the branch like that. And then, okay. There it goes. And we'll get this one right here. And this one too, because it's got a lot of stuff going on down there. Yeah. Now we don't want to wait too long to lift the paint, alright? I'm going to go in here and do this. We don't want to wait too long to lift the paint. Otherwise we might catch ourselves in a little bit of trouble. And you don't want to get in trouble here. You want to go in and take care of business. Alright, so let's take care of business right now. Alright, so we'll lift this section right here. Ooh, I almost got it. Alright, there it goes. Yeah, that's good. And we'll go down here. Put a little bit of that. And now it just leaves that light color behind, which is exactly what I'm looking for. It's exactly what I'm looking for. And now we'll take that color again. Now you can use either toilet paper or you can use paper towels to lift your paint. But I'm going to give you a warning right now that if you use paper towels, there's a good chance it's going to leave a lot of texture behind, because paper towels tend to have a texture printed on them. They tend to have patterns printed on them that are much more pronounced than toilet paper. And also, paper towel is much more coarse. So, you want to be very careful. You want to be very careful using paper towel like that, okay? We got this. Don't hold back now. You got it. I have to give myself some words of encouragement so I can get this painting done, because sometimes I'm looking at what I'm doing and going, boy, I don't know about this. Really got myself into trouble now, haven't I? No, we're not in trouble. We're fine. We got this. All right. There it goes. And now we'll just lift this one down here. Yeah, look at that. Things are already much, much lighter. That's exactly what we wanted. Okay. Now let's go. Ooh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a little bit of, just this mix right here of this ultramarine and the quinacridone magenta. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go into pyro orange here with the ultramarine, because that's probably a lot easier. It's much closer to my target color. You always want to aim for a target color, and you want to choose the colors that are going to get you closest to that target color, by the way. All right, let's go ahead and just wet this whole block right here. This whole block, just like that. Okay. In my well, I have 3 wells in my bucket. I should say in my bucket, I have 3 wells. Okay? And there's a reason for that. There's a reason. I use 2 of the wells to rinse my brush off, but then I use the third well for painting. Okay? And that third well, because it's kept so clean, my colors usually appear really, really nice. Alright, there's a certain kind of effect you see with colors that granulate. And I don't know if I mentioned this already, but I will mention it now. Granulation means that the particles of the pigment are settling into the paper and creating a kind of stony effect, which, you know, makes granular colors like ultramarine pretty ideal for painting stone and stuff. Okay. And now that should dry pretty quickly. That should dry pretty quickly. Let's go ahead and focus on, I know. Let's go ahead and focus on a little bit of our tree color now. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and maybe wipe off a little bit of this palette here, because I'm going to need a little bit of space on this. So if you got to clean off your palette, go ahead and do it. I just want to wipe off a little bit of color, because sometimes you use too many colors and things become real messy. You can't always mix only two colors. Eventually you're going to have to mix a triad, which is why I tell you about the triad. But once you start mixing more than three colors, I'm of the mind that gets to be too many colors. Now, you can go ahead and do it. It works perfectly fine, but I just figure it's not that efficient. All right. So we'll go ahead and we'll do this, and then we'll get, a little bit of Nicolazo yellow in there. Get a little bit more of the ultramarine. We add the Nicolazo yellow to our triad mix of quinacridone magenta and ultramarine here to get this color. Okay, that's looking pretty decent. So let's go ahead and there it goes. I'm also going to want to maybe get a little bit of, there's a dark color I like to use a lot that I don't know if I'm going to use it right now, but I'm sorely tempted. I am sorely tempted. All right. Now let's get serious here. Let's go into this color, our triad mix. And we want kind of a magenta-ish color. We want something that's a little bit more red-violet, right? Okay. So I'll get that color. And then I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and paint it in just like this. All right. And a lot of the layers, we're just gonna go ahead and paint things right over all this. Okay. All right. Now we don't want to waste any time here. This is going to dry really fast because we didn't wet the paper beforehand. So very quickly, go in and get that, pick that up. Now we're going to get some more water and some more of that color, and we're going to keep going across all this until we've got this entire bird here with this base color. Now what we're doing here, I don't know if you realize it, but what we're doing is using foundation washes to work this bird, okay? Or to create this bird, I should say. There it goes. Now don't go ahead and annihilate all the things you've already done. I'm going to go here and lift this, okay? All right, so we've got a base layer on there, and that's looking pretty decent. We'll go ahead and let that dry. While that's drying, I'm going to mix up a little bit. I got a lot of Nicolazo yellow on what I just did there. I'm going to mix up a dark brownish color. I'm going to use a lot of ultramarine to get this color. Okay, this is good. This is good. Actually, I'm going to get a little bit more ultramarine. I want that ultramarine to kind of give it a purple tint. I think that'll be real nice for this piece. Yeah, I think that'll look real nice. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to splay out my brush, and we're going to go over here. I'm going to use my fingers to splay out the bristles, and then we're just going to go in and drag this. Yep, that's what we're going to do. And that'll just create some really quick bark for us, all right? That's how we do it. That's how we do it. Now, when we're in a hurry, there's a lot more detail on bark than I'm really showing off here. So if you really want to be a go-getter, you can go ahead and get a lot of detail on your bark. But we are in a bit of a hurry, and I can't be with you forever, unfortunately. I have to leave eventually, and I have to go deal with other things. But for all the time I'm here, I can show you a few things to help you on your way. Okay? And maybe here. Imagine there's a little bit of a shadow right there. Here, we'll add a little bit of orange in there. Okay, that's a little better. Yeah, that's a little better. That makes it look a little bit more lively, I think. Okay. All right. Yeah, that looks a lot better, actually. All right, good deal. Now, well, here's what I want to do. I'm going to take my little brush. my little brush. It's a cute little brush here. We'll just toss this down right here. So I forgot to throw a little foundation wash right there. All right, good. All right. Now I'm just going to go into all these shadow colors right here, and we'll just, we'll paint a couple of things. I don't even know that I'm going to lift the paint on this one. I think this color is going to look so nice that it might be better just to leave it right where it is. And, ooh, I might be right. Now I want to color a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay, there it goes. Perfect. Now, I want to add a little bit of blue to this. Just like this. Alright? And we're going to, how do I want to do this? I guess we'll just splay the bristles out again. Okay. And we'll create some little things that look maybe a little bit like gravel and dirt and all that. There it goes. Okay. I know it doesn't look like much now, but hopefully, that's the key here. Hopefully it will later on. All right. Now, for the foreground here, let's go ahead and create a little bit more of a neutral green. All right. And this neutral green, well, I don't know if it's necessarily correct to call it neutral green, but I'm going to go in here and just lay down some colors like this, where we're going to color a couple of things like that, and we'll kind of just, we'll drag a few things here and there. Okay. just to give it a little bit more of that flavor, right? Okay. And let's see. We can go back here maybe. There. Okay. Okay. Now, I think what we can do is now, let me go ahead and get just a little bit more of my ultramarine. And there it goes. Here. And then we'll lift this side of it. There. That's good. That's good. Alright. This bird is going to have multiple layers to it. And I think it's going to make the bird look very interesting. Alright, here's what I want to do. I want to take some of this green color, alright, that we were working with. I'm going to just tap it in right up here. Using my sponge. Now, I don't know if you know, but you can just take a piece of sponge and dip it in. You can dip it in to some paint, and then you can just tap all these foliage patterns in with hardly any effort. It's just one of those things that's so kind of magical. It's uncanny the way you can just do this. And it's one of the easiest ways to create foliage that I know of. It's probably the easiest. And if there's another way to do it that's even easier, boy, I wish I knew. Because I can't think of anything, hardly. No, honestly, I can't think of anything. Alright. So maybe we'll just tap some things in right over here. Okay. And there's a few other things that we might want to do. Like maybe over here and then go right over. Okay. You don't want to get too uniform, you know. Yeah, you let it get too uniform, it's gonna look a little weird if it gets too uniform, but try to get some variation in there. There. Alright. Now what I'm gonna do is you know what I might do? I might go ahead and take that off the palette there, because that doesn't need to be there. Alright. And I'll mix a little bit of phthalo blue into some Nicolazo yellow here. And I'll get a lot of phthalo blue on this, actually. Yeah, I'll get a lot of phthalo blue. Because I want something that's a little bit more of a turquoise color. Alright? And then I'll get another piece of sponge here. And this one's going to be kind of tiny, I think. But we'll see how it goes. So right here, sometimes you might have to hold on to your paper a little bit. Okay. Alright. You know what I might do? I think what I'm going to do is tear off a bigger piece of sponge there, because that one's pretty little. Yeah, there's a fine line between too much and too little. So you gotta just kind of try out pieces of sponge till you find one that's right for you. Find just the right size, and you want to have a couple of different pieces going, because it makes it a little easier to paint these kinds of things when you're not, constantly fighting with the paper and all, and the sponges and your tools and all that business. All right. You can do multiple layers of these. I don't see why not. Okay. And then over here, just like that. And we're starting to build these layers up. And it's already looking so nice. Here, I'm going to get a little bit more of that Nicolazo yellow and that Phthalo blue. I want a lot of phthalo blue on this one, so get a lot of phthalo blue if you're going to try this out with me, okay? There it goes. And we'll go over here. Great. Yep. There we go. There we go. All right. I think that's about enough of that. Let's go ahead and leave that alone for right now. And what I want to do is concentrate. I want to concentrate on the bird here. Well, first, let's go ahead and give this bird a little bit of a beak right there. Okay, just like that. And it's done. It is good to go. And we'll go into, oh, I don't know, a little phthalo blue and pyrrole orange, and we'll just create a nice eye for, create a nice eye right there, and maybe we'll add a couple of details here and there. I don't know. Just a little something to suggest maybe some feathers and some such business. Yeah, it seems like it's a good idea. Yeah, now it looks like an angry bird, doesn't it? Oh, we're having too much fun. Well, I am guilty of that. I am guilty of having a little too much fun on some of these shows here. All right. Yeah, that's one thing I'm guilty of. Guilty of having too much fun. I just can't help it. I enjoy painting that much. It's just one of the best things in the world. It really is one of the greatest feelings in the world. To go in and just paint these things and have a blast doing it. It really is. Alright, now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over this with another layer. This block back here with another layer of my ultramarine with pyrrole orange. And that's really all I'm doing. I'm just adding another layer of the same color. It helps to add multiple layers like this. You just want to paint the whole shape, then you paint the same color over it, and you paint it once more to get that dark color. Now over here, alright, look at that. And if we give it a second, this color will dry pretty quickly, I think. It will dry pretty quickly. Alright, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add a little bit of this color right here. We're going to start adding a couple of little flourishes here and there of some maybe dark orange colors. Maybe we'll add one right about right here. And is there any other places we might be able to do that? Maybe like right in here. Just like that. Here, we'll do that. Maybe right here. Okay. And maybe. Okay. I don't know. It's okay not to know. You'll figure it out as you go. It sure seems like that's what I do a lot of the time when I paint, doesn't it? Just figuring it out as I go. Okay. Yeah, maybe there's some little bushes here and there. Some things going on in the background. That's all we gotta do. That's all we gotta do. Alright. Now, finally, I want to focus on this bird. I don't know if this is the last thing I'm going to do. Wait. How dry is that? Ooh, that's pretty dry. Here's what we can do. Let's go ahead. Let's take a little bit of green. Because maybe we got some reflected light. Maybe we do. And if it's reflecting off an object right there, go ahead and throw it in. Because why not, right? Why not? Here, let me get a little bit more of my quinacridone magenta color right here with the Nicolazzo yellow. Yep, there it goes. Okay. Alright. Look at how fast we're going. Now I'm gonna get, now this eagle here, this nice eagle. Ooh, he doesn't look too happy. He's probably been sitting in the zoo for too long. Probably doesn't have anyone that talks to him all day long. Isn't that terrible? Yeah, that kind of sucks. That's not the best thing in the world. Oh well, poor eagle. We'll get by. Now let's go ahead and we'll take the flat brush here. We're gonna use the flat brush because it's gonna conform to a lot of the shapes that we're gonna paint upcoming here. All right, look at this. All right. Now pay special attention here, because what you're gonna do when you try to paint a bird like this is you're gonna look for shapes that look kind of feathery. And feathers tend to have kind of a triangular vibe to them, you know? They kind of blend into each other like this, and then they just keep on going, like that. Now notice how all the shapes are kind of interlocking already, right? Yeah, it's kind of wild. And they're gonna go all the way up into here, okay? So you can kind of keep going like this, and just keep painting all these fun little shapes like this. Just like that. That's it. That's it. Okay. And that's really all there is to it, my friends. You don't have to stress yourself out too much. Just look for all those little separations like this, and you go ahead and paint them. As long as they kind of fit together, they will look like feathers. Look at that. We're kind of just doing whatever we want now, aren't we? Yeah. Well, that sums up painting. It's your painting, and you can do whatever you want. Don't let anyone tell you different. If you want to paint a certain thing, a certain subject, I mean, go right ahead and do it. And if you want to paint it a certain way, well, you'll find a way. You'll find your way. And all I'm doing here is giving you suggestions about different ways you can paint things. Remember, this isn't how you have to paint, it's how you could paint. Or as I like to put it, it's how you could paint, not how you should paint. Okay. Now look how far we've gotten. Look how far we've gotten. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and just keep going on this bird here. I'm going to get a lot of ultramarine. I mean a lot of ultramarine. I might need to get a little water because my brush is getting a little dry. Anyway, I want a lot of ultramarine, a lot of it. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go right in here. Okay. And then, okay. We'll get a shape right there, and then we'll find another shape maybe right here. And I don't know. Maybe we'll just cover up a few things here and there. Doesn't matter that much. Doesn't matter that much. There it goes. There's one right there. Maybe right here. Okay. Maybe we'll go right in here. All right. Okay. And if the paint is still wet, sometimes it creates this interesting effect where it just kind of bleeds into each other, which is very, very interesting all by itself, right? Okay. And maybe over here there's another blue feather like that. Yeah, maybe there's one like that. Maybe it goes this way too. Cool. All right. Now that's looking pretty slick. That's looking pretty slick. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to maybe... I'll take a little bit of my phthalo and my quinacridone magenta here. Get a lot of water, actually. Okay. we'll just lift a little bit of that. You want to leave some behind because it just lets the viewer know that you were there, right? With a lot of these, that's all we want to do is let people know we were here, creating a few feathers here and there. I prefer to use like different colors that are kind of dark as opposed to just a general dark color on a lot of these because it tends to look a lot more interesting that way. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to go into my other triad mix. Maybe add a little bit more of the ultramarine and the quinacridone magenta on this. There it goes. And I want a lot of that quinacridone magenta. It goes right about here. Look at that. Look at that. Okay. We'll go right in here. And we'll look for all these little separations right here where we want some nice dark colors. Okay. Just like that. Okay. Right in there. There's one. And right here. There's another one. Maybe right here. Find all those little areas because they will make your piece look so much better. We'll get one right there. Okay. There it goes. There it goes. Okay. Alright, we got some nice stuff going on here. Let's go ahead and wrap things up with foliage, I think. Alright. And what I'm going to do for that is get my phthalo green and quinacridone magenta. I want phthalo green and quinacridone magenta. I want more phthalo green than quinacridone magenta because it does make things look a little bit more interesting like that. Alright. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get out my oval brush here, and we're going to sock in a couple of things down in here, right? And this oval brush is pretty good at creating foliage too. This is the good alternative to the sponge in case you want to maybe save some money, but sponges really aren't that expensive. I guess technically the oval brush is more expensive, but it does provide you a little bit more consistency, I guess is the main draw of this one. So if you want to go ahead and invest in this oval mop like this, and this is what we're doing right here. We're going to create some separation in the background there, as well as over here on this side, against all that. And then maybe we'll go over here and create some separation right there. And pretty much what we're doing is we're just going in. We're going in and creating more separation for the bird. Okay. And what we can do is, I think I might lift a little bit of that. Yeah, I don't know if I like that. I like a couple of those things being there, but I don't like all of them. Remember, don't make things too uniform. If you make things too uniform, it might not look that great. All right. We're getting places. We're getting places. So down in here, I'm gonna. Okay, look at all that. Boy, I know I showed you the sponge, and I like showing you the sponge, but this oval mop really does work wonders with foliage. I really recommend getting yourself an oval mop like this if you can afford it. Now this is just this isn't really all that remarkable of a brush, to be honest. It's just a brush with synthetic bristles. But these synthetic bristles, sometimes they do just the most wonderful things you could ask for. And this is one of those times. Okay. Alright, now we'll go right over in here. And look for any other areas, maybe over in here. And we'll go ahead and just sock a few things in right there. All right, all right, all right. I think maybe we'll... Yeah, it's about time, I think. It's about time. Is there any more finishing touches we could possibly look for on this particular painting? Here, this is where we get out our... Let me rinse off this brush. And this is the point where we get out the liner brush and look for anything we could possibly do. Anything. And what I can do right here is add a little bit to the underside of his beak. There. Doesn't that look cute? Yeah, that looks cute. And maybe we'll go ahead here and just... Okay. And we'll just throw a few lines in here to really emphasize the feathers. Okay. And maybe we'll take a little bit of, ooh, I don't know. Yeah, we'll take some paint right here. Just like this. Okay. And maybe we'll create a little bit more separation in a couple of areas. There. Sometimes I like to do a little move I call the wiggle when I'm go ahead and putting on paint like this. It looks silly, but it does work pretty well a lot. Okay. Now the main culprits for the feathers here, remember, are quinacridone, magenta, and ultramarine. And I think that those really work together. And the reason I use the ultramarine so much on a painting like this is because it creates a lot of texture. And if you look at feathers and stuff, they got a little bit of this, they got a little bit of a fun texture on them. They have like this smooth, shiny kind of texture, but in some areas it also gets a little rough. So go ahead and take a look at them, because they're kind of fascinating like that. Okay. Okay, we're getting real close to the end of the painting here, I think. Yeah, we're getting pretty close, I'd say. All right. I want to throw in a little bit more of the magenta color in here. Here, let me find that magenta color. There it is. Let me get just a little bit more of it. Okay, that's better. That's better. And now we can go ahead here. We can go ahead right here. Yeah, that looks real nice. Important to make those noises to let people know that you are in fact having fun, that you are in fact making art, and leave them no doubt. Okay. Well, my friends, I think we're so close to the end here that we can pretty much just maybe do a couple more things right here. Okay. I can do a couple of things right there, and it will be about time, I think, for us to call it good on this one. Had a lot of fun painting this seagull here. Let me go into our thick color, and we better leave this eagle. I keep getting tongue-tied today. I keep getting tongue-tied. We keep getting this eagle tongue-tied. He looks a little mad. I better get going, or else he might notice me, and he might not feel so patriotic then. My friend, I really hope you enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun painting it, and I hope you give this a try for yourself, maybe. Until next time, my friends, I'll see you soon. With love from me to you. Bye-bye.